Welcome on all, my name is Tawess, and well, first and foremost like to apologize for the lateness of the video. My plan was to give out a video a week, but well, life and lack of inspiration happened. So, if you, for some odd reason, is the microscopic combination of following this channel and following me on Instagram, you'll know that I've started working on a diorama, and well, that is still coming. We're going to get a video out on that, but we are not really there yet. So, in the meantime, in the between time, I was like, well, I have to do something. And, yeah. I have a few mechs need to be painted for the earlier mentioned thing. So I was like, maybe I should do that. Start something easy. Started painting a few mechs. And I had one person rather rudely point out to me that my desk looks like a goddamn awful mess. Well, apart from my significant other, that is. So I felt like, well, maybe I should try and do something about that. So I dug through the piles of stuff I think around and found my old Citadel paint station. So now you're going to watch a black Citadel paint station while I'm painting a grey model. Big brain move, that one. But it's too late to do anything about that right now. Also can have my brushes sitting up, which is nice. So, without further adieu, we are going to paint this thing. Now, the paint scheme for this little thing, which is a genre, it's not even in focus. It's in focus. The main idea is to paint this side grey, and this side up there orange, and I think yellow. Now this color scheme is not entirely original. The original credit in this case goes to my former mechwarrior online commanding officer, Dim, a scandophile of untold level. Anyway, he designed this for his company, the Shield Wall, no, Sköldväggen, Skaldeborg, and it was the paint scheme for the main guys, the honor guard. So I'm going to steal that idea, because I really like that paint scheme. And since I'm basically going to use a lot of these mechs and ideas in my convention setups going forward, I think it will be good. It's a good idea. Now, what are we doing then? Well, we are going to... This is actually a bit more awkward than I thought it was going to be. We are going to dry brush this thing. Very gently, going to dry brush it. Because there's not much else you can do with grey, to be honest. In my mind. I mean, there's a lot more you can do with grey, but dry brushing is, in my mind, what looks best. We're not going to go crazy dry brushing or anything. We're just going to do a gentle dry brush on this thing. Yeah, a lot more detail on that one. It's not actually starting to look like something. Also, I had a fun argument with a guy over, well, basically how I paint windows. He was like, the only way to paint it is paint the glass. I was like, first and foremost, this cockpit area here, in some depiction is technically not glass, it's some sort of see-through metal. Don't even. It's 80s sci-fi. But there are also designs that show this as not see-through from the outside. It's reflective, it has a reflective coating on it, making it not entirely see-through from the outside. And that is basically the idea I have grabbed onto. So I coat them with gold, because it's reflective. And you simply have to accept that I do that. I'm not gonna paint this glass. Especially some mechs, this area is about the size of the tip of my brush. And while I might be good, that is arguable, I'm not that good. Also, you look at this. I'm running out of non-oil quickly. Now you might wonder why did I do this? Well, because I put this with the lid up on my table, then swirled around at some point and knocked it out. I knocked almost all of my non-oil out, which is sad because I had this can for quite some time. It's getting a bit dry now, so I kind of need to moisten it a bit. I know the internet loves that word, moisten. But you need to dilute it a bit. Otherwise it will be much too sharp. Now you might wonder why you do this, because inking is a good way to get things sharper, sharpened up, gives more dimension. Yeah, it's good, very good. So while this sits here and dries, we can talk about the colors we'll be using next up. We are going to be using this very orange, this very yellow. We are going to be using a very old brown color that's around somewhere, yeah. This is a P3 Privateer Press color. Surprisingly good, actually. I don't have any Armory Painter stuff yet. I have gotten Jazz's art box collection thingies, so I will be getting some Armory Painter paints too, but for now we don't. Also, I have a very high-tech mixing palette. It's an whole instruction booklet for something, but it works. The pages are sort of plasticky, so it works. Now you might wonder why we're going to use this color for. Well, you need to darken the orange. This orange is like fiery orange. It's Troll Slayer orange. I think it was called fiery orange before. Maybe not. They changed some things. Anyway, it's great. It's wonderful. But it's a bit too bright. And by a bit, I mean a lot. It's a lot too bright. So we're gonna darken it a bit. And that is what we need this for. Because if I start hitting this in black, it's going to be way too dark. And if I hit it with anything else, it's going to go tits up. This brown contains a lot of red. And that's good. Everything is good. But that's especially is good. Now I'm actually going to show something else of just short. It's just a second because I'm working on another project too. I have another project going right now, but it's a Titan Forge Mini. I'm working right now. Put a bit closer. I really like how it's turning out. Surprisingly good for a regular resin printed model. Anyway, that was a beside. Yeah, I know that's a new novel concept, isn't it? Painting a mech. Huh. What are we? This channel actually has content? No, we are not that. So I'm not going to paint everything because that would defeat the purpose. We're going to point some parts though. And the whole idea here is to get a nice base. So far that seems to be going decent. I mean, it's not exactly that hard to begin with. But no. One can never be too careful about these sort of things. I really should keep painting with the other hand. It's not that I can't paint with the other hand. fact, sometimes I actually prefer it. Quite double-handed when it comes to painting. Actually, it was nice to be, because I like it for feet though. I don't know, the toes like nice orange, so I'm gonna keep them actual orange. Move this over here, I can also actually keep this over here. Yeah, this video is gonna be properly long and properly rambly. And I'm gonna like it. I'm not entirely sure if you are gonna like it, but I like it. I like my videos rambly. It's not quite as good with this hand as that one, but I'm definitely good enough. This brush isn't entirely good either. It's getting a bit worn. But as with everything else in life, we can have to deal with that as it is. Because we don't have any new brushes right now, and I don't want to have to order new brushes, because that's annoying. So, we're getting out a nice base for the orange. Making sure we have enough place to fill in with yellow later, and then basically almost jammed the brush into my mouth. That would have been spectacular in its own right, for all the wrong reasons. If you're mixing oranges, you want to keep with colors that contains red in them. Red, what colors contains red in them? Well, colors that look warm. That one's contain blue, and trust me when I say blue and orange doesn't always mix. It's a very strong combo. From the whole point of, well, I want to stand out like crazy. Much like how blue and red is. They are about as strongly opposite as you can get. But much like red and green, you have to be very careful when you use it, because not all combos are made equal. And that's one of those that you really have to think about when you do. Because if you do it wrong, you are going to end up with something that looks horrible. Now, it's a good sports color, team color though, because as I say, they contrast really good and then visually striking. But on a mech, not quite as good, to be honest. Now I'm going to mix around grey, because I realized I didn't have the grey tone I was looking for, so we're gonna mix it up. And trust me, when you mix grey, you want to wash your brush thoroughly before, or you start with the white, which I didn't. So I have to wash my brush thoroughly, because you don't want to get black in your white. The other way around, usually okay. Black to white, most of the time not okay. So yeah, we're gonna use this custom grey to dry brush the model. Why? Well, because I like it. I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have picked it to begin with. Now, would I? Nope. This is a bit of a colder, because the white muse is a cold white as compared to a warm white. So the idea here is that we're going to take some of the yellowness out of it. Which of course doesn't say much right off, but you're going to see once we're done, it's going to be a difference. Mech fell over. Now we're going to do something funny with the brush from up to down to get the idea that light is actually hitting this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna get your dry brushing is awful guy on me again, but here's the thing, I'm not a professional model painter. I don't really strive to be a professional model painter, I just kinda like to paint models. There's a difference. It's subtle, but nonetheless a difference. What I'm doing now is basically going over the edges again with a pure white. Just crispening up the edges. Because I want them to be really sharp. It's not super visible, but it just gives a bit more of a pop. Now the whole idea is that things should be looking dirty, so this is going to be the painting stage. Next up we're going to do a weathering stage, and next video, not today, because we're going to try and spend some time with that, to actually weather it properly. Now I'm going to use the same trick with the yellow actually, and put a tiny bit of brown in it. Why? Well, because we want the yellow to be a bit darker. And again, we can't do it black, because black is bad for that. Black is bad for most things actually when it comes to darkening things. You would think that black is good because black is black. Black is not good for that sort of thing. No, we want this to be very mustard yellow. Dirty mustard thing. Why do we want that? Well, because we're going to liven it up later. With some very bright yellow. And if we are too bright to begin with, we ain't gonna get enough contrast between the dark areas and the light areas. It's gonna look like a poop. Poop. An utter poop. We don't want it to look like poop, we want it to look nice. We now almost put his arm into his paint. Not as bad as when you rinse your brush in your drink glass instead of your rinsing cup, but still not something you want to do particularly often, because, well, you're going to waste a lot of drink that way. Because no matter how non-toxic this thing is, it doesn't taste particularly well. So you don't want to do that often. Yeah, also I'm going to do the thing I usually forget to do, which is plug where I get these models. And that's from Syllogy, or Syllogy. I don't know. It's a name anyway. On my mini factory. This awesome person has actually made a lot of these 3D models for mechs. So yeah, that should give you a basic idea what the plan is for this thing. We're gonna put some more color on, but in the end, that is where we're going. So while this was drying, I also went over and did some panel lines on it, because I saw them bits there. And also I need to actually be able to see what I'm doing when I do that, and my eyesight is not what it used to be. So I can't see always what I do with the camera on. So now what we're going to do is go over this with some orange, carefully just brightening up the centers of these things while still leaving the sort of dirty areas in the edges, giving it the look of actually having a history, if that makes sense. I'm not going to put glazing, but I'm going to put that a bit thinner level, more opaque, because I want to brighten the orange part, but I don't want them to be all bright because it still needs to have a bit of depth to it. If that makes sense, you can see that there's still a bit of sort of an outline of something not orange. Some bit brown or brownish. And that is basically the effect we want right now. Because we want it to look used. The idea is this is a smaller mech company. Perhaps not as well off as they would wish. So their equipment is not exactly in tip-top shape. And lastly, I want it to look a bit run down. Like. They definitely care enough to paint them, but they maybe don't really have enough money to care to paint them all the time. That is kind of the idea I'm going for here. Leaving some of the black-ish showing through. The feet are definitely going to be weathered later, but we can give those a go too. Like that. You see there's a bit of the dark. It's a bit of the darkness. The darkness is creeping back in. Oh God, what's to do to stop it? There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's there, there's same. Now I hope I blended this yellow down a lot, enough to actually have this make a difference, but well, I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. Very tasty. Tasty yellow. Now for those who wonder why, so we can do the same thing here. Just getting the central parts, leaving the edges, so to speak. That's bad. I have to fix that. I probably have some yellow on my finger. That happens every now and then. Every now and then you end up with some yellow on your finger. And no way to get it off. But wiping. That is if you even notice it. Sometimes you don't. And then you instead end up painting parts that make yellow that was not supposed to be yellow. Like that orange. But it works. Oddly enough, it works. We're gonna go over some of this with a bit more bright or yellow later, but first off I just want to make sure we get the bases in. So like that. So it looks colored, but it definitely looks a bit dirty still. So we're gonna let this dry now. And when I come back next video, we are going to add the finishing touches and weather it. But for now, this is what we have. I think it's looking pretty good. Apart from that, we're gonna fix that. So there's a mistake. But apart from that, I think it's looking pretty good actually. Yeah. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and play fair. Bye.